The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was a recruiting update. I would say got a couple commitments last week. Specifically, I want to talk about the main one they got was Zakian Kaiser. I want to say. Let me pull him up. So here's a linebacker out of Sydney, Nebraska, but he is a mid 3-star guy. Didn't have a lot of offers, just Lindenwood, which is a I think they're a D2 out of St. Louis, and then Wyoming. Not a huge offer list. 6'3", 200 is a decent size. Iowa State has made hay on guys like this before, so worthwhile. But what's really more important here is if you take a look at the state of Nebraska for the class of 2026, Iowa State is pillaging this state right now. Right now, they're the leader for they've got the all of the crystal all the crystal balls. It might just be one. Yeah, just one so far. Um, but I would say that is believed to be one of the leaders for Jet Tamale, who is a 4-star quarterback. I know he just went on to a visit to Ohio State, so he's starting to get some blue blood interest. Which maybe that changes it changes the calculus a little bit. But I would say it's been on him for quite some time. Um, you know, so you've got a 4-star recruit at quarterback. Obviously, look at that. I mean, right now Nebraska may or may not be in the mix. Typically Nebraska owns the state of Nebraska. But then I believe Darian Jones he's projected to go to Nebraska right now, but I would say it's in on him for sure. Leighton Burbach, I want to say they're in on him as well. Yeah, they've got an offer to him as well. So you got a nice offensive tackle there. They've already got commitments from Marion Jackson and Caprice Keith. You've got a commitment from a linebacker, and Barry Freeze. You've got another one for Kean Kaiser and another one for Tyrell Chapman. And all of these guys are mid to high 3-stars. And then in the case of Jet Tamala, he's a 4-star. So you got Omaha, 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 Sydney, Lincoln, which is not that far from Omaha. So Iowa State is just blasting the state of Nebraska right now in the class of 2026, and it's pretty remarkable to see. Nebraska currently projected to get Darian Jones and Isaac Jensen, but outside of that, Iowa State has taken, and it's not like these are nobody recruits either. I mean, these are fairly highly, these are within the 3-star realm, which obviously most college rosters are mostly 3-stars. As 3-stars goes, these are mid to high end 3-stars that you would expect to be, good players and be able to contribute maybe somewhat early in their career. And then obviously Jet Tamala would be a guy that you'd be looking at after Rocco Becht has 2 more seasons left. Theoretically, I'm assuming he'll probably have 2 more seasons left. He's going into his junior year this year, and you would assume he'll probably stick around for a senior year, unless he just totally. Unless he has some just absolutely outrageous season where he's now encouraged to go as a junior, which I'd be kind of sorry. He would have to have an unbelievable, like, straight up Heisman contending type season for that to even be a thing. Just because his size, he doesn't have like prototypical size, so he's a little undersized, and typically like those guys don't come out early unless they're like a generational athlete, like a Kyler Murray or something like that. Typically those guys don't leave college early. So assuming Rocco Becht has 2 more years at Iowa State, you're right now looking at you're looking at a 3-way quarterback battle between, presumably Connor Moberly is still here, Alex Mansky, who is the freshman for the 2025 class, and then Jet Thamala. And Mansky and Thamala are both, I am 99% sure that Mansky ended up as a 4-star. Let me just check real quick. He's either a high 3-star or a 4-star. I think he ended up. Okay, so he ended up at a high 3-star. I know he was up as a 4-star at one point in time. So that'll be an interesting one. Will Hawthorne is a guy that I think, once you get to camp, I think Will Hawthorne is a name to absolutely keep an eye on. Ethan Stecker would be an interesting one at the receiver spot as well. Alex Mansky, I'm pretty sure he was up in the 4-stars at one point in time. I'd have to find his ranking history, which I'm trying to remember how to get to that timeline. Nope, actually, that's not it. Either way, he's been a highly ranked guy for a while, and I know he's a guy that I've been high on. I think he's really interesting. He's got a nice build. He's got a good arm. multi-sport athlete, which I would say likes those guys. But either way, after Rocco's gone, you're looking at Connor Moberly or Alex Mansky, or if they can get his commitment, Jet Thamala would be looking at them being the successor to Rocco Becht. All of these guys, you really like a lot of what they have to offer. Jet Thamala's got great size um, as well there. So interesting names there. If Iowa State can pull Jet Thamala now that he's taken like an Ohio State visit and stuff like that, where you're actually really getting him potentially over some blue bloods and things like that. I think that is a big time deal. I mean, he's got a big time offer list. He's taking visits to really significant programs. This would be a massive win, but even if you can't get Jet, you've still got a nice class here. You still got 5 of the top 10 recruits there with possibly in on a couple more. So I just wanted to shout out to the coaching staff on this one because they've done a phenomenal job on the 2026, specifically in the state of Nebraska, who apparently they have decided that is no longer that no longer belongs to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. If you look at the state of Iowa, though, there's a few different guys in here that I think they'll be in on. They got Jeffrey Roberts early here, but I want to say Drayshawn Ross they've been talking to a little bit. I'd be curious to see if they can get Evan Jacobson. The deal here with Evan Jacobson, so his brother obviously played here, Ben Jacobson. The problem here is that he's a very high-end prospect, like a blue blood level prospect. So they will, Iowa State would theoretically have to fight with Notre Dame, Florida State, Auburn, some really high-end SEC schools to get him. So that one's probably going to be an uphill battle. They've got an offer to him, and I would say it has a history with the tight end position, but so does Notre Dame. And if you've got Notre Dame hot after you, it's pretty hard to disagree with that. He's got awesome size. I don't know if they'll be able to get him, but it'd be interesting. Jaden McGregory is another one. I think they'll definitely try. Got lots of offers there from SEC schools and things like that. We'll see how involved Iowa State is there, but you got some really nice players, state of Iowa. But no matter what, that state of Nebraska, they've got that locked down, and it's good. Some really nice players out of the state of Nebraska too, and you're not just owning a state that has a few whatever recruits. There, Nebraska's got a really nice class for a class of 2026. So you'd like to, if you can lock that down, you can secure a lot of depth at a lot of different positions as well. So shout out to the staff. They've done a really great job so far in this recruiting class.